So before I introduce Allison, I'm going to share a little bit about Prati and what this is all about. So for folks that don't know, or maybe you're just learning about Prati, we are a 501c3 nonprofit located in Colorado. And we do a variety of things, psychedelic medicine trainings, a lot of ketamine trainings for ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, and also educational offerings like this around different topics, music being what I spearhead here, also stuff that has to do with nature relatedness and ceremony and ritual. So definitely check out our website, learn more, and see ways you can plug in. We are a nonprofit, so our vision and purpose statement are pretty central to our ethos, basically, like how we see the work that we do in the world. Just to share a little bit about that, Prati's vision is imagining a world where people can flourish and thrive in right relationship with the natural world. And Prati's purpose is to restore connection to the sacred, which we define as self, community, nature, and spirit. So if y'all have questions about that, feel free to ask when we get to the end here. Happy to talk a little bit more about Prati. I want to thank folks that donated to support this webinar. Thank you so much. We do these as a community offering, but we certainly welcome any financial support that can come our way. It helps us put these on. So logistically, like housekeeping stuff for this webinar, as you can see, Allison and I have on some cans. So if you have some earbuds or headphones, it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of experience the music more immersively, and you can hear the richness and the 180-degree pan of the instrumentation and stuff like that. So highly recommend some earphones if you got them. And then also feel free to turn your cameras on. I know you all can't see each other, but we can see you. So it'd be nice to see your faces and know that you're here. So I think that was what I wanted to say to start off. Oh, also you can throw some questions in the chat and we'll get to those at the end. So please just stay muted as we go and we'll give you a chance to chime in. You can unmute or you can use the chat for questions at the end. All right, well, I'll say a little bit about myself. I am Stephen Thomas. I am the course director for Prati's foundational ketamine-assisted psychotherapy training program. And gosh, I've been with Prati since we started. It's going on the 5th year here. And it's just a joy to do this work. And one of my primary passions in this work, I'm also a ketamine therapist myself and a social worker, is music, is weaving the power and the mystery and the magic of what music can do in a healing capacity in with the ketamine medicine. And it's really profound for those who haven't experienced it. I would recommend it if it's appropriate for you. And then for those that have, we're preaching to the choir. And with this series of playlists, the Sublingual session series, the idea was there's so much music out there. There's a lot of ketamine playlists out there on Spotify and other places. And the vision is if we really bring a discerning ear to the music and to the capacity of music in combination with ketamine to transform and heal, what kind of beautiful pieces can we create and what kind of offerings can we put out there? And so, Prati has been opening this invitation up to artists and DJs and musicians to curate playlists to support ketamine experiences for therapy. And, my hope with this was to get as broad of a palette of musical offerings as possible, because there's just so much infinite potential with this, I think. And so that's what the Sublingual session series is all about. And we're at number 7 here. And Allison Sung is our latest curator who is returning, actually. I think the first time we've had a return person with Sublingual session 7. And Allison did our 3rd one, September of 2022. Allison, time has flown.
Wow.
I know, right? Yes, and it's still one of our favorites, one of my favorites, I'll say. And I'll gush more about what you do, but I think this is just a masterful example of what's possible to do with playlist curation from an artistic perspective. and really excited to dive into the songs and see what other people think here. I'll share a little bit about Allison here. So Allison is a licensed sound therapist, DJ, and creator of the Sacred Sound Alchemy Oracle card deck. Allison is based out of Northwest Arkansas, and she's had a lifelong love affair with music. She played classical piano from age 6 to 18, and then traded in her piano for a set of DJ turntables, and has been performing music at diverse events from yoga festivals to nightclubs and music festivals ever since. Allison, you've always been a mystic at heart, I'm reading. And then after the sudden and tragic death of her younger brother by suicide in 2015, she began devoting herself to a path of healing. After hearing about the potential of ketamine therapy to assist with treatment-resistant depression, Allison became passionate about curating sonic journeys to support the healing potential of this medicine. And yeah, she's at it today, curating ketamine therapy playlists that surprise and delight, facilitating sound bath meditations and DJing at conscious dance events, which I have had the privilege of enjoying your DJ set when you performed last year at Psychedelic Science at Prati's after party, and blew us all away with the opening vibes. So fun. So
Is
it's
it
really
too
good
early to start talking about 2025 yet?
I don't think so. I think we should start talking. Yeah, we'll figure that out. I think it's time to start prepping. So yeah, it's just been wonderful to connect with you over these years, and you're really a part of the Prati family and community. And yeah, I'm excited to chat again tonight. So maybe we'll just start off with a couple of questions and learn a little bit more about you and how you approach this.
Sounds good. It's great to be back.
Awesome. So for you, your background is not as a therapist, it's more in the sort of DJ musician realm. So what can you share about how you got into this? Like how's your world intersected with making music for psychedelic therapy or curating
Yeah.
playlists?
Yeah. It's always, I mean, going back to even, the death of my little brother, that kind of really sparked an interest about this work. And, it was 2015 and we didn't really know about the potential of ketamine therapy and helping with treatment-resistant depression, which my brother suffered from. And so, kind of after that whole experience and coming to realize that this work really can save lives and really can help people live without that veil of depression. I just became super passionate about supporting this work in any way that I knew how. And the way that I knew how was music. I mean, my whole life has been a series of just music at the core, from playing piano to being in the band in junior high and high school to DJing to, I mean, it's just a interwoven fabric of my life. And so that to me felt like the way that I could help support this work in the way that I was knowledgeable and comfortable and available to help out. And so it's really just been this beautiful intersection of my passion for music and also my passion for helping this work spread and helping, be a steward of this amazing medicine that can really help people.
Wow. It's really powerful, and it really comes through that passion and enthusiasm you have, I think, in listening to how you craft these playlists. So I'm very grateful to you for contributing in the ways that you do and bringing so much heart to it.
Thank you.
So what have you been up to since we last connected? I know it was a couple of years ago as far as these webinars go. I know I saw you last year. What's been new in your world here?
Yeah, I mean, from the music front, I've just, continuing to keep making playlists. I love, when people are like, what do you do for fun just on a Sunday evening when you're having some downtime before you go to work? And, some people are like, I sit down and read or I watch a movie, but I'm like, I sit down and I listen to music to make a playlist. It's just, I love it. So there's been lots of that. And then I also actually reconnected with my old piano. I bought myself a piano again. I felt inspired to get back into playing music and playing the piano again, which was something I did when I was a child.
Love that.
So I just felt in the past 6 months, I've been kind of retraining myself how to play the piano. And I've even been combining it with some of my live DJ sets, like playing piano while I'm DJing. And so that's been a really
Yes.
fun process of just exploring all the ways to create with music.
Incredible. All right, so let's talk about the piano next time where you have your DJ, because
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to we'll get the live elements in there.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So any plans to produce your own tracks?
Um, I don't know. I have tried to produce before, but uh, I kind of get writer's block, I guess, sometimes. I definitely want to dabble in it again. My husband actually produces as well, so maybe it could be a co-creation where I have him create the beats and then I can
There you
do the
go.
piano.
Oh yeah,
We'll tackle it
collaboration is where
together.
it's at. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll be looking out for that.
cool.
Um, Tell us a little bit about this playlist, Sublingual Session 7. Like intentions, vision, inspiration, how did this come to be for you?
Yeah. I think when I began to curate this, I was really in a space personally at the time where like, everything was just feeling really heavy. And I mean, there's lots of heavy stuff going on in the world right now, and a lot of darkness, and it was very, everything was so serious in my life, and I just was in a
Mm,
space where like I just kind of I need a little lightness. I need a little breath of fresh air and a little joy. And so that was
mm,
really my intention with this playlist, was to really bring a sense of lightheartedness, like where we could to create this space where we could kind of put down the heavy things that we're carrying for a minute and kind of just be light and be free and be joyful. And so I think you'll find that when you listen to some of the songs, there is a real cohesion of, I've been using the word delightful to talk about this playlist for a while, but there's a real cohesion of just kind of fun, delightful melodies that kind of go up and down. And it's
hmm
just kind of a breath of fresh air, I felt, and really helped me cultivate a sense of just chilling out and being peaceful and, being light.
Absolutely. Yeah, that comes through for me when I listen to this. And gosh, there's so much that I would like to say about it, which I will take the time to do here shortly. Um, One question that was coming up for me when I was even when I first looked at the lineup of the tracks before I started listening was like, how do you find these artists? That's what I love about inviting other curators to this process, because you know I kind of get into what feels like a little cul-de-sac with Spotify sometimes, where it's the
Mm-hmm.
same, as far as the algorithm and what it presents to you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not the only way to find music, but it ends up being a kind of an easy way. And I find that I keep seeing the same kind of stuff recycled, at least in my experience. So what's your process for discovering tracks like this?
I'm I'm just pretty much always listening to music, like in the car or at home, pretty much all the time. And honestly, I just sometimes you kind of have to look in the unexpected places. For example, a lot of the songs that I use are from artists that traditionally might do dance music or club
Mm,
music,
okay,
but yet kind of if you go look at their albums, sometimes they will have a less like driving song. They'll have a more ambient or a more atmospheric song kind of buried within one of their albums. And
sure.
it's not like their star, it's never their single of the album, but it's like maybe a transition song. And so sometimes I'm just listening to entire albums start to finish, cruising through. Um,
hmm
and it's honestly, I found the algorithm to be really helpful for me, especially when I have a few tracks in mind. I start a playlist and then I'll get maybe 5 to 6 songs that I've sourced in a playlist, and then I will start going through the algorithm. And if it suggests a song that I like in the algorithm, then I'll go to that artist's catalog and I'll listen to everything in that
And then
artist's
just dig through the
catalog.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a weird winding road, but I go all through all the paths, like leave no stone unturned.
We used to call that crate digging.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yes.
it makes total sense for you as a DJ to have that approach, and that's how you really turn up some gems, I think. So yeah, that is apparent, and hearing you describe it, I'm like, oh, well, of course, yeah, it's the deep digs, right?
Yes, yes.
That's how you find the Easter eggs in there.
Yep, for sure.
Well, anything else you'd like to say as an intro to the playlist before we take a look at it?
I don't think so. I think we're ready.
All right. Well, I'm going to give it just a little overview here. So Sublingual Session 7, it's 29 tracks, clocking just over 2 hours, which is the typical length for a sublingual cap session. I think a lot of therapists are using around 2 hours. And so it supports that. And the features that we've come up with to kind of categorize it, you can tell me if you think these land appropriately or not, but introspective, lush, and restorative were some words that we put towards it. The genres are ambient and electronica, and it has a 12-minute swish time kind of built into the intro, and then recommended 12-second crossfade with the crossfade feature on Spotify. So we'll be listening to it with that in place. And then, yeah, I think on my end, I would just say agreeing with you about the delightfulness of this one. And I was enjoying contrasting it in my experience with the Sublingual Sessions
Mhm.
3,
Yeah.
which was kind of a little bit more upbeat in a way, like
Yeah.
more energetic, and
Yeah.
had more of like a joyful kind
Hmm.
of vibe, but more energy to it. And this one is gentler in a way, a little bit
Hmm.
more subdued and settling, and but also ethereal and beautiful, and it definitely has those sparkly, delightful vibes to it too. So what I have noticed with these two playlists of yours is you really have it like a signature sound that's coming through, which I know is a DJ trope, and it's really cool to hear it in your offerings as a playlist curator, because your ear for sonics and textures and honestly like synth sounds is unique to you, I would say. Um,
Thank you.
so I
I love
appreciate
a good
that.
synth.
I can tell the warmth and the body and yeah, all of that really comes through. So it's like enveloping synths, bright and uplifting melodies, and then soothing textures and atmospheres. And then even when the songs seem to have more of an ambient quality to them, you still maintain that forward motion that keeps the journey going,
Mhm.
which is just fantastic to be able to drop into these gentler and more enveloping spaces, but also have something that's bringing you forward.
Mhm.
And the flow throughout the playlist is that carrier wave that's really unbroken and seamless. So we'll be talking about your transitions, because that was honestly my favorite part was the transitions, and it's just really well done.
Thank you.
So yeah, you're so welcome. Very consistent in the aesthetics. Um, and I can tell that we're listening to the work of a DJ here. So I'm excited to get started, and we're gonna switch to Spotify now. See here, there's the features that we put in there, and it tells you what the switch time and the playback crossfade is right here. So this is a place where any of our Friday playlists you're gonna want to look to learn a little bit more about it. Okay, let's go with track 1. And again, if anyone has headphones or earbuds, this is the time to strap them on. We're gonna get this journey going. So we wanted to start with Harpsichord, your opening track here from Fortet. You used a Fortet track, I think, in the last
It's
playlist.
actually from the same album, and it was the opening song as well.
Yeah,
So,
which I love. There's some,
yeah.
kind of cohesion there, and
Hmm.
what a fantastic track. So let's just get it started here. Oops, I want to start it from the beginning. I've got chills already. So as an opening, Allison, it's so inviting. It's so warm. It's so heart-opening. You just can sense. I mean, this is when people are swishing, right? So we've just started the playlist. The journey space is opening, and just hearing this, I cannot wait for this journey to get started. Of course, it's called harpsichord, and we hear the harpsichord. What's this bringing up for you, Allison?
Yeah, it's a really beautiful melodic first part of it, but then you'll hear it starts coming. It's kind of a little quirky at the end.
Yeah, we'll let it play.
So it has some of those weird noises, kind of.
Very magical, very otherworldly. And we're just gonna let this play into the transition here. Okay. That is gorgeous. It just falls into the next synth. Yeah, so for me, that transition is really beautiful because it opens up to this other atmosphere that's got a lot of depth to it.
And it kind of has these quirky, like melodic runs, like which you'll kind of hear in a bunch of the other songs as well.
Yep. I get like playful and mystical vibes. It's almost like that, like entering the fairy realm a little bit.
Yeah. Fairy tale was the word that came to mind.
Those melodic trills just continue. And I think this one, it keeps changing, right? It's got some different phrases to it. Okay, so is there more that you wanted to hear with that one?
No, I think it mostly kind of just plays on that.
Continues like that
to the end, yeah.
Yeah, just super playful, and those warm synths, I have to say, they're just suck you right in. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll jump to the next section we want to look at here, which is going to skip this one and go to track 4. And I believe it by track 4, this is going to be right past that 12-minute mark. So
Yeah.
at this point, people are dropping in.
Yeah, this one is probably my favorite song on this playlist. And I specifically put it here because you'll hear like it starts kind of mysterious and ethereal, but then it like about a minute and a half in, it just like opens. Like
I
it's almost
marked
like
that. I marked
being,
that minute mark. I'm like, we got to
yeah,
read
it's
that part.
like almost like being pushed kind of across the threshold, if you will, of I imagine a threshold of consciousness where you're going in.
Absolutely. Really well placed for that purpose too. Because at this point, people are dropping in, putting on eye shades, putting on headphones if they didn't have them on already. So let's take this little ride here. I love the water sounds that are the intro, and that's a theme that we'll hear throughout this playlist. The building layers, right? It just gets deeper and deeper.
This is kind of the first like really rhythmic track.
Yes, yeah. Which also really well placed for the ambience to then take on that rhythmic texture and the carrier wave. So this is a longer one. This is going on 6.5 minutes, maybe close to 7 minutes. Is there another part you'd want to hear maybe further in?
No, it mostly does this. It's got a little breakdown in the middle, and then it actually does bring in some vocals. So if you want to cruise like to maybe the last minute or so, minute and a half, well,
let's check.
maybe a little earlier. Yeah.
Let's check this out.
It brings in like a little vocal. I think it just fades out mostly from there. We might have gone too far. But yeah, there's like a lady like just going like ooh.
Just those those subtle layers that create
Yeah.
such a rich texture when they're all coming in together. So yeah, so it opens the journey up in a really deep and immersive way, and then it's gonna fade. And so again, the water,
Rain.
right? And I just want to play, we won't play the next track in its entirety, but I just want everyone to hear this transition. Oh, it's so good. So we are going to skip this one, even though I love it, because you've got several other tracks by 36 on there. This artist
Yeah,
36,
they're one
which
of my favorites.
fantastic. And I'd only came across them in the last couple of months, and incredible stuff. So let's skip that one for now and go to this one, which is actually, I think this one's my favorite. Shinrin Yoku by Lemongrass. So let me
Yeah,
turn
this
up the
one's
volume.
really fun. Like,
Oh, it's so
just
fun.
fun.
Okay, so let's start it. Allison, I think this is a perfect ketamine track. It's just rich and lovely, and the cycling phrases, that energy that's and the pattern changes are fantastic. I really feel joy with this song, like heart-opening joy.
Yeah. This one kind of evokes like, reminds me of like an innocence of childhood, kind of.
Like the nostalgia feeling. Yep. So what I noticed with this is, I think from the previous two tracks, maybe they had more of like a minor tonality to it, and this brings us back into that major space, which is such a nice release, right? When you've kind of done that deeper introspective work, and now it's this kind of restorative feeling. So, and it does a little breakdown here. So I'm gonna jump us to the end because I really love the end of this track, and I'll explain why. Okay, that's too far back. Okay, right here. So it's continuing kind of as it had, although there's, I don't know what that instrument is, but that kind of sounds like a plucked string or something. Now, the background that's been consistent is that that like minimalist, like Philip Glass-esque minimalist composition, and it breaks down to where you really get a clean sense of that, and I love it so much. So good. and that transition is just, it's like butter. So we definitely want to hear this one.
Yeah.
This track is the most kind of powerful of the whole playlist, I would say.
I think it's got the most exploration of rhythm. You'll hear all these different kind of layers of rhythm.
And heavier percussion. Listen for the harpsichord.
This one will bring in those like running up and down melodies in a second too. I don't even have a good word for them, but.
Yeah, the kind of arpeggio.
Yeah, arpeggio. Yeah.
Which to me that sounds like harpsichord, kind of like a patch that's emulating harpsichord. And I'm just so impressed with the stylistic consistency across the playlist. You'd almost think that this was an album, right, by one person, the way that it works together. Luscious breakdown.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Just imagine the medicine space opens up. And now you're off again.
Just a brief little pause.
Right? No, the ride is not over. Here we go. Kind of repeats the same phrasing. I did want to hear that breakdown because it's just so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so No Reality. So, and that one comes in, I would say, at a good point for peak effects, you know, to at least be starting for folks in the medicine. So I love that where you've placed that with the energy level that it has.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump a couple down to Liminal Animal. I think I picked this one out. Slow Meadow, I've come across Slow Meadow a good bit. I've used them in my playlists, and I've seen other people use this. I had not really fully sat with this track until you put it in here, and I really think it's fantastic.
Yeah, this is most of the songs on here are kind of more in the joyful space, and this one is a little bit more on the melancholy side, I would say. But so it's one of the few kind of like dips into the little bit more melancholy space, I would say, but it still kind of has some of those beautiful melodic runs in it too.
Absolutely. Which I love that you put it in here for that purpose, to give people some, you know, some range,
variety,
in the emotional timbre of the playlist, right? We're getting more of the organic classical instrumentation. Yeah, definitely has the bittersweet,
Mhm.
evocative, nostalgic feeling to it. Also still really peaceful.
Mhm.
There's your arpeggios. I love that filter on the synth opening up.
Yeah. There's so many different sounds in this song.
Yeah, it's a journey unto itself.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna fade us out here. Just love that you put this
Yeah.
in here. This one's really nice. And Slow Meadow, they they really have their style down for combining the classical instrumentation with the electronics. It's really
Yes.
so good, so well done.
Their production is top notch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, next we want to check out Sedona,
It was just two
which,
down from where you were.
okay, there it is. Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
What do
I
you want to say
love
about this
this
one?
one. This one's all guitar, acoustic guitar, I think, but it's like layered on
Hmm.
top of each other. And so I really just loved the kind of organic sound that an acoustic guitar brings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this one's really good.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a departure in that quality, but it
Mhm.
fits right in to the playlist. So we've got that kind of rhythm guitar in the
Mhm.
background and then the lead. A couple of layers of rhythm, I think.
Mhm.
And it's like haunting kind of beauty in the
Yeah,
melodies.
yeah.
Very classic, kind of classical guitar vibes. Not exactly, but you get a
Mhm.
little bit of the counterpoint style
Mhm.
in classical music, the complex melodies playing off each other.
Yeah.
And then what is this one like towards the end? Does it keep going like
I
this?
think it mostly
It
kind of
just
just
cycles,
cycles
right?
through that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, beautiful production too. Just that tonality,
Hmm.
It's
It's
a lot going
rich, it's
on. It's
warm.
really rich, but
Yeah.
it fills a space, right? It doesn't sound kind of jumbled. It sounds really
Mhm.
smooth.
Yeah.
Okay. That was Sedona, and that's by Eric Wallow. And then we're going to look at Arigato Arigato by Calm. What is it about this one that made you choose this?
I just thought this one really felt like we've reached bliss. Like
Okay, we're at
we've
peak bliss.
finally made
Okay.
it, and we're like hanging in a hammock on a Sunday afternoon, and it's
Bring it.
sunny with a warm breeze, and we're just hanging. That's what I felt like this one.
Lovely reverb at the start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just creates a bed of texture
Yeah.
for that bass to sit in.
And this like adorable little oboe or whatever. I think it's an
Yeah.
oboe.
Yeah, I was like, clarinet, oboe. Yeah. The piano is fantastic. So it's a waltz melody here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ketamine waltz. Okay. I just got a David Lynch hit. Did anyone else feel that? The synth in the background, the bum 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 bum. That's super like Angelo Badalamenti Lynch vibes. So that's like fairy world for me.
Yeah.
It's like
It was so sweet. Like
it's sweet, but it's like it's not standard like classical or
yeah.
it's really those synths in the background that give it such character and give it such depth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and listen to this, and then they get brighter.
We've got this
Rad.
like
Yeah, and you
bouncing.
get oh yeah. That's good brain food right there. Okay, and then wait, okay.
Key change.
Key change. All right, or pull it back. Yeah, enjoy this one in its fullness on your own.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. What's next? We want to
We had two more. We had Tundra and Invocation of Peace.
Okay, cool. Is
Tundra.
there?
Go
Wait,
ahead.
sorry. Did we do it track by 36?
We did not. We
Yeah,
can.
let's check this one out.
Okay.
I want to bring 36 into the mix here
Yeah.
because it's just good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have notes on this one, but let's just check it out.
Yeah, their stuff is really ambient, but I don't even know how to describe it. Just yeah.
Yeah, it's ambient, slightly
But it's
experimental.
It's interesting. It's not like boring or drony
Not at
ambient.
all.
Yeah.
So where are we at in the journey arc here? Is this winding
I think it's
down?
about we're starting maybe about an hour and 15 ish.
Okay. haunting, beautiful, ethereal. A lot of these elements keep coming in. And of course, the sense, the warm sense. Beautiful, simple, but really effective, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to keep the journey moving.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, and encourage folks to check out these other tracks by 36 on here because there's some good ones. Okay, so Tundra, where about in the journey is this one placed?
I think about an hour and a half probably. And this one I really feel like kind of is maybe if that Ekvir track was more of like kind of an entry goalpost, I really feel like this one's kind of an exit goalpost. This one, when we hear it, it's like this one felt like a big exhale, like like we've made it.
I love that. Okay.
And so you'll kind of hear that when you listen to it.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to play it from the end of Beacon, the track right before, because I like that. I really want to highlight the transition here. So let's go to. Okay. So you'll hear a little bit more of another track by 36. Like that's just
there's that rain sound again.
It's magic. Those just fit right together like puzzle pieces. Okay, and this one.
And about a minute and 15, this will like just imagine that you just took like a deep exhale. It's like it's what it sounds like to me.
And it starts off with that kind of lo-fi, choppy, cut up, like Boards of Canada style production.
Yeah.
Which I love. Delightful, would you say?
Yeah.
It's just so soothing and warm and restorative.
This felt like, you know, the reward after a hard journey.
For sure. Oh yeah, no, this is just like the soft flower bed to lie in. It's so good. Let's see. Did you want to hear more of it?
No, that's fine.
It's good right here. Okay. Let's jump a little bit farther in it to do the transition into Invocation of Peace.
Yeah, and then the next one is really the gift.
Okay, I want to go back. Whoops. I'll go back. I want to try it one more time. Okay. Yeah. So the sequence of these two, right, works so well together. And this has some really interesting kind of acoustic recording stuff going on.
Almost like insect noises.
There's
Does it
also
sound
like
like
like sliding furniture sounds. It's like
yeah.
it's like environmental music. So let's
There's
just
that reverb again. That's like
get the tail.
feels like you're in a concert hall.
Uh-huh. And then good stuff. Where did you find this one?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
Okay. It just fell into your lap,
Yeah.
right? I think it's magic.
I love the birds.
Hmm. So this is such a good landing sequence, these two.
Mhm.
Longest track by far on the playlist, 11 minutes. 11:11, good numbers. Listen to the build. The vibrato kind of tremolo
Mhm.
on the synth. So this is like top shelf Savasana song. Like this is like high quality yoga music here. Right?
Yeah.
I love the length on this. It's something that I've appreciated with some other playlists. To put a track with similar qualities to this one, really expansive and gentle and long, like layers continuing to add, like that Max Richter Sleep, like the tracks on that album.
Mhm.
To put it at this point in the playlist, people, they may be still in headphones. They may be coming out and starting to talk with the therapist.
Mhm.
It's right around that point. In fact, I used this playlist today, and my person came out of their headphones right at this song. And it was so gentle to have this be in the space with us.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Let's one more. Yeah. So
Mhm.
layer just keeps gently unfolding.
Yeah, so it makes it not feel like 11 minutes
Totally.
of just
Yeah.
the same thing over and over. It's really,
Yes, it goes places for sure.
yeah.
Okay. Allison, is there anything you'd want to hear at the end here? Like any of these closing tracks?
No, I
Anything
don't think so. The most of the rest are just a little bit more ambient, kind of just
Mm-hmm.
to settle and
Yep.
you might be talking during this time, or they might have even, the session might be over. So
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, I got goosebumps pretty much on every track there, so nice work. Um, yeah, I'm just blown away by this one and super grateful to everything you put together here. I think this is, well, we've got close to 183 people who have liked it, which translate that into how many potential people this is reaching and how many journeys this is supporting, and what a gift. So thank you for your work.
Yes, thank you for giving me the space to do this work. And wow, my
Wonderful.
lighting, it really got dark here. So
I love it. There's like a light journey happening in the room.
yeah,
Well, let's see. We've got some folks that have stuck with us on this
I think we
webinar
had
here.
some questions in the chat
Got some
too.
questions in the chat. Okay, let's check it out. You want to pick one to start with?
Yeah, Keelan asked, Allison, do you make playlists for other medicine journeys? If so, how do you approach them differently and what are your considerations? Yes, I would say I prefer making ketamine playlists, but I also love exploring other things. I have an MDMA therapy playlist that's about 6 hours long. And so that's first of all, one of the considerations is the length.
Sure.
So, when you're curating for other medicines, typically it's a lot longer. And so I'm not cranking out those playlists as fast as I can a hour and a half, 2 hour ketamine playlist. But yeah, I think you have a little bit more freedom, I think, with other medicines in that, you're not in ketamine, you kind of have to be careful to not have anything too jarring or too distracting. But with other medicines, like you can kind of have some of those other tracks. And so I really loved putting together this recent MDMA playlist I did because it really kind of runs the gamut from really chill melodic to kind of driving and evocative music. And so
Hmm.
you generally have a bit more kind of tapestry to work with when
Hmm.
you're curating for other medicines. Stephen, I don't know if you want to add anything to that or not.
I fully agree with everything you said. Yeah, that's how I kind of understand the how I'm working with the differences in the other medicines and playlists. You have a lot more latitude with the other medicines with the range and
Mm-hmm.
intensity of track selection and things like that. They're just kind of play nicer with it or more forgiving.
Yeah.
Because ketamine is a dissociative,
Mm-hmm.
the music is just really everything. And I know you can get to that space with other psychedelics at high doses, but it's just really ketamine seems to gel really well with a certain vibe of music, and that makes it really fun to curate for. And also the thing that I enjoy with it, and I think I've mentioned this before in some of these other webinars, is because it's a dissociative, people generally are with it the whole time for that hour and a half or something like that in their headphones on the ride. Whereas with a longer play psychedelic like LSD for sure, or MDMA, psilocybin, people are probably going to come in and out, and they're not going to have a cohesive, seamless journey where they're going to experience everything that's put together. So you really get this incredible captive audience opportunity with
Mm-hmm.
ketamine. And it makes for just, you can really create an hour and a half of a solid curated art piece of art, really, that encapsulates an entire journey. MDMA people are coming in and out, psilocybin likely the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the follow up there about?
Yeah, there was also another question. Do you ever run into the challenge of wanting to use a track that is not available on Spotify? I would say yes. I have run into that before, but in all honesty, I just don't use that track because while you can source music that's not on Spotify, like Bandcamp is a great resource, and you could SoundCloud, etc. But
Mhm.
there's not really an easy way to put together a playlist that off Spotify. And so I've just kind of chalked it up to not really worth the time and effort to try to figure that out. But
For
yeah,
sure.
it has happened before. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel about Spotify as your platform for doing this kind of work? Is it just kind of the thing that makes the most sense, or is it really just the best
Yeah.
that's out there?
I've really found that it's honestly the best that's out there.
Hmm.
And it's just so I think it's got the most reach, the
Hmm.
largest audience. And so generally, if you make a Spotify playlist, generally 9 out of 10 people will be able to play it in my
Right.
experience. So
Right. They have just monopolized our ears.
yeah, yeah.
It's happened. Okay. Awesome. Love Akasha System. Yep.
Yes.
Props to Akasha
Yes, yes.
System. They've got some good dance tracks too.
They're one that I don't typically use a ton of their stuff in ketamine
Yeah.
playlists. However, I do like their
And
stuff in
DJ
other,
sets.
yeah, DJ sets and even in MDMA playlists as
Mm.
well.
Oh, totally. I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Very cool. I think Jana, can't say the last name,
Jenna.
Frelich. So Jana's got several posts in
Yeah.
here.
Are you matching keys during transitions or just general timbre? Or timbre? Um, I am not going so far as to deliberately match keys in my transitions. You absolutely can do that. I will say though, I will listen to the transitions, and if it just sounds like you can tell when it's way out of key. And if it doesn't sound good, then I will rearrange the tracks. And so I'm mostly just doing it by
Hmm.
ear. Though you certainly can like look up what key the song is and look at the Camelot wheel if you're interested in uh learning about what keys go together well. You could just research the Camelot wheel. There are keys that sound good together and some that don't. But I generally just do it by ear. And then absolutely matching just the general timbre and the feel of the track. That's the key thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the same. I just listen to it and feel it. How does it
Yeah.
feel? Right. And it's the energy, right, of the track. Like it's not just what
Hmm.
happens right at the transition
Hmm.
point, but it's like how does it support the flow of the playlist? And if you can really hit the sweet spot, how do they blend?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
always make sure and listen to the transition in and out of the song just to make sure it's not jarring
Hmm.
or sounds
Hmm.
very weird.
Right.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I've had to rearrange some things before several times. But
It's part of the fun, right?
yeah, arranging.
Arranging. So yeah, Jen, I would agree about that no reality drum sound. It's almost on the edge for me, and I think it's a great track in the playlist. And so there's a couple of the playlists that I've made where there's still a track where I'm like, is that okay? Or is that too much? Um, and generally, like 9 clients out of 10 or even more, have no comment, no issue with it, and they just are on the ride and it's okay for them. So I think just some ears a little bit more sensitive, and also, yeah, I hear where you're coming from with that thought. I wonder, Allison, if you have thoughts about kind of
Yeah.
intensity of.
No, there's always one or two songs in a playlist where you're like, is that too intense?
Mhm.
You're kind of doubting whether to put it in, and that this one was I had a doubt for a second, but I've personally listened to it, in the space, and it didn't come off jarring to me. That said, there's always going to be something that lands weird with somebody, so full permission to skip the song if someone is showing signs of not liking it. Like, I have
Mhm.
no attachment to
Mhm.
skip it.
Yes. Yeah. You can do the queue. I don't know if people know that on Spotify, all the songs in the playlist show up in a queue, and you can subtract, you can change the order of tracks in the queue. So that's a good way to adapt. But yeah, thanks, Jenna, for your comments here. Marta giving some love to Allison. Thanks, Marta. Meredith, thank you. Oh gosh, let's see what else we got. And then just some other. Oh, Jen is asking, what's Camelot ears? I think you said Camelot wheel, right?
Camelot wheel, yeah. WHEEL.
And
But if
that's
you're
like
interested
a
in,
key matching.
it's a diagram, but it shows you how to there's like a logic to it that it'll tell you what keys mix will sound good together.
Mhm.
Cool if you want to go down the music nerd rabbit hole.
Oh, let's go. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's
Trying
see.
to think if there were any other I think it was mostly
Maybe
just
it's more comments
comments.
in the
Yeah.
chat. So any folks that are still with us here, would like to ask a question, you can, I think you'll be able to unmute yourself and we'd love to hear your voice in here if you want. Or comments.
I have a question.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's this?
Well, it's Keelan, but that's actually my wife, and she left the room, but it's just me.
Okay. All right. Welcome. Yes.
And it just like I don't know, like 5 or 6 minutes ago, you talked about you said the requirements for a ketamine playlist have very specific vibe, which I very much agree with. Have you put that into words? Like, how would you simply summarize what that vibe is?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Let me do my best here. Well, so Allison, I want to start with you and then I'll chime in.
The age-old question.
Yes. What's
How
the
do you
vibe?
describe it? I can only use keywords, and so I'll just rattle off a few keywords that come to mind. Ethereal,
Mm-hmm.
in, inquisitive, melodic, spacious, I guess, and gentle-ish. Hesitate to say gentle, but yeah, it's super hard to describe, but it's like when you hear a song, you know, it's like, oh, that's the space.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any better words, Stephen.
You use some of the ones that I typically use. I use ethereal. You know, so one thing that I think is important is a forward motion, and that can be achieved either through a rhythm, like a percussive rhythm, or it can be achieved through a repeating melodic phrase or a cycle. So if it's just washy ambient noise, you're going to get marooned, is what I call it. Or actually, my colleague Jason St. Nick came up with this, marooned, and it's a somatic and journey experience where you get stuck. The music stops you and you hang out in the space. It feels uncomfortable, especially when all the other music has been moving you forward, because ketamine just latches on and carries you through. So anything that has something that repeats or has a rhythmic element that can move you forward is going to be really important. There's definitely some music for psychedelic therapy out there that's too washy and too amorphous for ketamine, I would say. So that's a thing that I think is a piece of it. And then the spaciousness, like if tracks that have a lot of atmospheric depth, there is an experience that I think is fairly universal for folks with ketamine, where the journey space, the ketamine space, will expand and contract based on what's happening in the sonic field. And so if you have a very expansive sound, it's gonna open up and you're gonna feel your consciousness expand, and there might be like outer space depth and things like that. And then you can play with that to shrink the sonic field, maybe with reverb or with layers, and it can still be really supportive for ketamine. It's just the journey is gonna take on a very different quality. And so the mix of those soundscapes can be really impactful and powerful. And Allison, I think you do a great job with this. A lot of it does have those expansive elements, but there's nuance to the field of depth with those, and that's going to alter. Each song is a different space for sure. So those would be things that I would share if that helps. I don't know if that's too vague, but you definitely develop an ear for it.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, like, I agree with you and all that. And I'm just interested in hearing how other people describe it, because, I've been in that space and I've created many playlists, and I'm just more interested in really like, what are your go-to phrases or adjectives, and so forth. I have one other question. I noticed in looking at that entire playlist, all the music, for me, it was really perfect for ketamine, and also all very synthetic, in very synthetic. And I'm just curious, is that your palette, Allison, generally, like that brand of music, or is that specifically what you choose for ketamine?
Yeah, great question. I would say that is kind of typically my palette. I love electronic music. I've been a DJ for 20 years, and so I tend to just kind of naturally gravitate to that. That said, I understand that it's not everyone's palette, and to me, it's like I'm hearing a sound, and whether an instrument string vibrated to create that sound, or whether the cones of my speaker vibrated to create that sound. It's like, to me, it's not that much, not that different. But I understand there's, you know, some people that kind of gravitate more toward the real instruments and the you know, acoustic music. And I do try to incorporate some of that into my playlists, but I just have a natural affinity to electronic music. So that's just kind of my paintbrush, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And I said that without judgment, but just
Yeah.
rather observation, you know,
Sure.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for those. Those are great questions. Yeah, and just so you know, this is a common curiosity, and for some people, it's an important preference. Is like they really, you know, have a preference for maybe more organic instrumentation over a preponderance of the synthetic sounds. And for that purpose, we, like, Prati has put out a classical cat playlist, which does have some synthetic, or at least like digital processing elements to the, some digital effects to give that expansiveness and the reverb and things like that. But it leans more heavily towards the classical instruments, and some people like that. So that's part of trying to provide as many diverse offerings as possible so that you're giving people a range of things to choose from. But yeah, great questions here. I think I saw Jana. Is Jana still here? Jana, it looked like a hand was raised.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, can hear
Oh,
you.
okay. Yeah. So I agree with the word of expansive. Because I think during a peak of ketamine, it's really about, you have that grounding something, and what I'm really hearing in all of these selections is something very deep and like bass resonance, and that helps the body feel very grounded. But then, like, so that when that little soprano sax comes in, that helps it feel like grounded yet expansive.
Mm.
What really intrigued me is when we hear the voice in that 11-minute piece toward the now I can't remember.
Mhm.
The Invocation of Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Because I often feel that what happens in ketamine journeys, and I've done a lot with my clients, is they are reliving their whole life, like different stages, and that vocal stuff is like almost a lullaby that comes in,
Yep.
like welcoming back.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But really, what really the pieces I really loved in this particular selection that you played were the ones that had both synth and some cello and or the soprano sax, where it's like a combo.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess for my ears, as a initially classically trained musician, but now a music therapist, but I love all kinds of world music. But that it's like both modern and old and
Yep.
timeless.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I could say a lot more, but it was really interesting to sort of, I generally tend to shy away from synth unless there is some other organic instrument as well. And but actually I even myself will do actually live music interspersed between pieces in a playlist. So because
I love that.
harp, and I have lots of, if I were to show you my picture, you would see all my drums and instruments in the background. So that I find really intriguing when I can, and sometimes I'll even sing with a piece on the playlist.
Oh,
Beautiful. Wow.
yeah.
Or use a rattle or percussion that if I feel it fits. So I think people need to, one thing I would suggest is just like experimenting, like maybe take a psycholytic ketamine journey and see what would inspire you to do. It would inspire you to do musically. All right, some thoughts. Thank you so much for, I'm really glad to have this resource.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know I felt inspired by that to, you know, I've been kind of thinking, well, could we play some live piano and during a, so I feel inspired to maybe kind of see what that's all about. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, please. And then get back
Awesome.
to me and let me know.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Jana. Yeah. Hmm. We got time for one or two more here if people want to ask a question or share a comment. Right. Well, I've been seeing some thumbs up from Yvonne, so I think we got the approval there. Nice. And Yvonne, you've been to several of these webinars, I think, right? Yes. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the support.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for doing these. I just love
Oh,
gathering together and nerding out on music with fellow
me too.
musical people.
It's
So
truly
fun.
a pleasure. And I don't know. I just, what was really fun is at the Prati party that we did after psychedelic science, and I think I might have told you this, Allison, but someone came up to me that was there, just someone I didn't know, and was like, "Are you ST Frequency?" And they said that they found Prati through the playlist on Spotify because they were looking for like playlists that worked well for their ketamine sessions, and that inspired them to come to the event to meet us,
I
right?
love that.
So it's like the ripples that we're all putting
Mhm.
out there of healing and inspiration, and I mean it's just such a beautiful thing, and it's an
Yes.
honor for me to provide a space for you and the other curators to do these offerings. So thank you, Allison,
Mm.
once again. Yeah, and Allison, is there anything that you'd like to say to close, like of maybe where people can hear other works of yours or check out some DJ sets or anything like that?
Yeah, you can just look up my Spotify profile. I think it's linked on the webinar information page. I've got lots of other ketamine playlists and also a couple of I've got my MDMA therapy playlists on there as well. And just a couple, if you just like good dance music, there's a few of those playlists as well. So yeah, just check me out on
Awesome.
Spotify if you like my style.
All right, make sure to like and follow and all that jazz with Allison. And thank you all for showing up and sticking around to the end of this thing. It is really a joy to share this with you. And anything I want to say to close, if some of you folks here that are here now, or maybe listen to this later, are aspiring or established curators yourself and would like to share something with Prati and maybe become a part of the Sublingual Sessions series, shoot me an email. You can send it to, I'll put it in the chat, but it's Stephen.Thomas, so STEPHEN.Thomas@pratigroup.org. And I would love to hear what you got. So accepting submissions.
Yes.
Yes, and that's a wrap, I think.
Sounds
So
good.
thanks everyone. Have a good night,
Thank
and we'll
you.
see you next time. Thanks for your
Bye.
support.